Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and hello everyone. My name is Nurul Syafiqah binti Muhammad Zakidah. My metric number is G2019108954. We are from Group 7. Want to present about first group assignment. From the instruction, we know that we must choose two companies from a similar industry. So, we choose two companies. First one is CIMB Group Housing Berhad, and second one is BIMB Housing Berhad, or also known as Bank Islam. So next, I want to present my part with this organization concept. From the organization concept, I try to explain about history, service, customer, location, few needs of the bank. First, I want to present about CIMB Group Housing Bank. 1924, we can check started by Cham Bank in UK. Mainly of by Cham Bank, activities focus primarily on business finance and the issuance of debt exchange. After 50 years, by Cham Bank moved to the peninsula of Malaysia, but its name is Pertanian Barisan Multinational Bank, or also known as PFM3023, was inaugurated by Prime Minister Tun Abdul Razak Hussain. On 1986, CBSM became Commerce International Merchant Bankers Berhad, CIMB. From 1989 until now, we call CIMB Group Housing Bank as CIMB Bank. Service that CIMB Group Housing Bank provides, which is conventional and Islamic banking solution to the individual customer and small business. Next, they also provide traditional and Islamic financial solutions to a wide range of businesses, including sole proprietorship and partnership. They operate small and medium-sized enterprise, also known as SMEs, around the area. The center of the CIMB Group Housing Bank at Kuala Lumpur Central, Kuala Lumpur. Next, I want to share about BIMB Housing Berhad. On 1st July of 1983, 20 Ramadan 1403 Hijrah, on Friday, Yang Amat Berhormat Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad commemorated the official start of Bank Islam operation. Next, before that, Tabung Haji largely stimulate Muslim saving and investment to assist the dictator in performing Hajj. The Islam is the first year of operation was performed by its temporary headquarters on the first floor of Complex Jemaah Haji in Subang, Kuala Lumpur. Jemaah Haji in Subang Selangor, with 30 pioneering workers and 4 active branches. At the end of 2018, Bank Islam has over 140 locations across the country and employs over 4,500 people. Service that BIMB Housing Berhad is head up Go by Bank Islam, Go by Bank Islam, Tabung Haji, Vietnam, and others, as you can see from my slide. Location of the BIMB Housing Berhad at Jalan Perak, Kuala Lumpur. That's all from me.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Al-Shafawi Hukim bin Sofi, metric number D20191089528. So for my part for this assignment is financial performance, where we want to measure the performance of our organization. First question is about how liquid is your organization, where we want to measure the liquidity of our organization, which are CIMB Group Holdings Berhad and BIMB Holdings Berhad. So we need to calculate the current ratio, because the higher current ratio, the larger is the amount of bill available per bill of current liability. The more is company ability to meet current obligation, and the greater is the safety of funds of short-term creditors. Thus, current ratio in a way is a measure of margin of safety to the creditors. So the formula for current ratio is current asset over current liabilities. So the answer is 1.06 for 2019 for CIMB Group Holdings Berhad. For the CIMB Group Holdings Berhad 2020, we get 0.76. For BIMB Holdings Berhad 2019, we get 1.35. The current ratio is 1.35 and 1.38 for 2020. So here we do the combined analysis for how liquid is your organization. So the current ratio is used to compare firm's current assets to its current liabilities. From the current ratio of both companies, it is shown that CIMB Group Holdings Berhad liquidity is lower than BIMB Holdings Berhad. So we go through the second approach to measure liquidity, which is acid test or quick ratio. So first we look at the formula. Acid test ratio equal to cash plus account receivable over current liabilities. So in the table, we already calculated the formula. So for CIMB Group Holdings Berhad 2019, we get 1.56 for CIMB Group Holdings in 2019. So same goes to 2020, and so for Bank Islam Holdings Berhad, we get 1.14 for CIMB Group Holdings Berhad in 2020, 1.17 for Bank Islam Holdings Berhad in 2019, and 1.18 for Bank Islam Holdings Berhad in 2020. So next, we do the combined analysis for acid test ratio for both companies. So the acid test ratio compares to cash and current assets that can be converted into cash during the year with the abilities that should be paid within the year. This shows that BIMB Holdings Berhad is more liquid compared to CIMB Group Holdings Berhad. So we go to the next question or next issue, which is, are the manager generating an adequate operating profit on the organization's asset? So to look at if the manager generating an adequate operating profit on organization asset, we must measure the profitability ratio that measure operating efficiency and ability to ensure adequate return to shareholders. Here, we consider four ratios to answer this question, which are operating return on asset (ORA), second, operating profit margin (OPM), third, total asset turnover or TAT, and the last, fixed asset turnover FAT. So, look at the table. We already calculate for both company and for each year. For 2019, we get the operating return on asset, which we get 3% for 2019. 2020, we get 2.9%, 1.2% for 2019 for Bank Islam, and 1% for 2020 for Bank Islam. So next, we calculate the operating profit margin. So for CIMB Bank 2019, we get 32% and 31% for 2020. For Bank Islam 2019, we get 69% and 80% for 2020. So we move to total asset turnover, we get 0.098 times for 2019 for CIMB Bank and 0.092 times for 2020. For Bank Islam, we get 0.017 times for 2019 and 0.014 times for 2020. As we also need to calculate the fixed asset turnover. We get 0.110 times for CIMB Bank in 2019 and 0.100 times for 2020. For Bank Islam, in 2019 we get 1.690 times and 1.390 times for 2020 after we calculate sales over net fixed asset for each company and each year. So here we do the combined analysis for operating return on assets, which operating return on assets or ORA indicates the level of operating profits relative to the firm's total assets. So we move to the operating profit margin, which operating profit margin or OPM means how effective the company is in its cost of goods sold and operating expenses, that determining the operating profit. So refer to the information. BIMB Holdings Berhad is slightly better than CIMB Group Holdings Berhad in terms of operating profit margins. This number shows that BIMB Holdings Berhad margins are better than CIMB Group Holdings Berhad managing the cost of goods sold and operating expenses. So for the third one is we calculate the total asset turnover, where the total asset turnover measures how efficiently a firm is using its asset in generating sales. So for the last one, we calculate the fixed asset turnover, which is the fixed asset turnover in turn examines the efficiency in generating sales from investment in fixed asset for each company. So this shows that Bank Islam is generating better sales for every 1 ringgit Malaysia invested in fixed asset as compared to CIMB Group's holdings perhaps. So that is all from my part.
Okay, next I will talk about point B, which is how is your organization financing its assets. For this part, we need to find out the assets financing for the two companies that we choose. Firstly, we need to find out the debt ratio for the company. The formula for the debt ratio is total debt divided by total assets. Debt ratio for CIMB Bank in 2019 is 0.0085 or 0.85%. In 2020, debt ratio for CIMB Bank is 0.0702 or 7.02%. For Bank Islam, in 2019, debt ratio for the Bank Islam is 0.0325 or 3.25%. In 2020, it is stayed 0.0924 or 9.24%. For debt ratio, both companies shows an increasing of their debt ratio from 2019 to 2020. In 2019, Bank Islam finance of firms' assets by debt more higher compared to CIMB Bank. In 2020, Bank Islam shows a rising of firms' assets by debt way higher than CIMB Bank. Okay, next we need to find out the times interest earned for both companies. The formula of time interest earned is operating income divided by interest expenses. Time interest earned for CIMB Bank in 2019 is 1.7515 times. In 2020, it is at 2.2336 times. For Bank Islam, time interest earned in 2019 is 8.7245 times. In 2020, it is 10.1645 times. Generally, Bank Islam has a great performance in times interest earned compared to CIMB Bank for both years. Okay, next we need to find out the return on equity. The formula for return on equity is net income divided by shareholder equity. The return on equity for CIMB Bank in 2019 is 0.0807 or 8.07%. In 2020, the return on equity for CIMB Bank is 0.0212 or 2.12%. For Bank Islam, the return on equity in 2019 is 0.1335 or 13.35%. In 2020, the return on equity for Bank Islam is 0.0949 or 9.49%. Shown that Bank Islam also has a great return on equity as the ratios for both years, which is 2019 and 2020. So how is our organization financing its assets is asset financing is a type of borrowing related to the assets of company. In asset financing, the company uses its existing inventory, account receivable, or short-term investments to secure short-term financing. The table below show the debt ratio and times interest earned for both company in 2019 and 2020. For part of the managers generating a good returns on equity, it is related to the returns on equity that we found out. This is analyzed by computing the firm's accounting return on common stockholders' investment or return on equity. Investing in companies that generate profits more efficiently than their rivals can be profitable for the portfolios. Return on equity can help investors distinguish between companies that are profit creators and those that are profit burners. Table below shows the return on equity that we found out.
Okay, so I will explain about success factor and risk. So first of all, how might the organization better capitalize of non-financial factor? First, for CIMB Group Holdings, Berhad has been listed on the main market of Bursa Malaysia since 1987 and has the market capitalization of 47.9 billion ringgit Malaysia as at 30 September 2021. As at 30 September 2021, total assets stood at 627.4 billion ringgit Malaysia with total shareholders' funds of 48.3 billion ringgit Malaysia and total Islamic assets of 152.8 billion ringgit Malaysia. So next is for PIMB Holdings Berhad. Analysis of shareholding of PIMB Holdings Berhad as at 31 March 2021 show that there are 6,288 number of holders and 186133767 number of holdings. the holder and holding of Bank Islam is not unique for Malaysia only, but it's also for foreign. Second, CIMB Group Holding got so many awards for every year according to CIMB website. For BIMB Holding Berhad also got so many awards and recognitions for every year. All these rewards show that CIMB Group Holding and BIMB Holding Berhad have a good reputation. Okay, then CIMB Group Holding open for students to internship in their company to gain student experience. It can help students to build their professional network and sharpen their leadership skill. The high-performing interns will have a chance to be offered full-time employment upon graduation. CIMB also gives an opportunities to fresh graduates to show their abilities and get their first job in CIMB Bank. There are many career opportunities that CIMB Bank offer for fresh graduates to grow their experience and knowledge about their mission. Same with CIMB, BIMB Holding Berhad also have internship program. It was an opportunity to gain an invaluable experience and unique insight into the world of Islamic banking. There are so many advantages that internship students can get from internship program, which is extensive exposure to Sharia concept, hands-on experience of the real corporate world, professional guidance from experienced supervisor, opportunity to gain their corporate responsibility program, and will user network, and the last is interns will receive monthly allowance. Next, for fresh graduates, Bank Islam aims to produce holistic, highly trained industry professionals to build the next generation of leaders in the Islamic banking industry. Next, what is the most significant itineraries to the company financial performance? For CIMB, is human factor. Personal issues may cause operational challenges. Staff will become ill or injured, and as a result, are unable to work, can decrease production. For BIMB Holding Berhad, the most significant itineraries to the bank is financial performance is human factor, which is loss of high talent personnel.
Assalamualaikum and good day. My name is Fatia Khadijah binti Muhammad Zulkifli. My matrix number is D201910895541. Now I will explain part projections and recommendations. Every investor who are evaluating a financial statement of an organization will always looking for the profitability that can be obtained. So profitability is one of the most measurements needed from the company's financial. So now we are present 3 criteria of the profitability that always be performed by CIMB Group Holdings Berhad, which is liquidity, solvency, and profitability in the period of 2 years from 2019 to 2020 based on the calculation in Part B. For the liquidity aspect, the current ratio that presented in 2019 are better than 2020, which is in 2019, the current assets is more than current liabilities, while the current asset in 2020 is less than current liabilities, which is the current ratio in 2019 is 1.06 and decreased to 0.76 in 2020. Same goes with acid test ratio or quick ratio, which is in 2019 was better than 2020 with 1.56 and 1.14. It means that in 2019, CIMB has only RM 1.56 ringgit in quick asset for every RM 1 ringgit in current debt. Thus, CIMB's liquidity in 2019 decreased drastically in 2020. For the solvency aspect, we are calculating debt ratio, and it is stated that CIMB Finance was 0.85% of its asset by debt in 2019 and slightly increased to 7.2% in 2020 with 6.17% added, which is 7.02% minus 0.85%, you can get 6.17%. It indicates that CIMB is using more equity financing than debt financing to operate the company with 99.15% in 2019 and 92.98% in 2020. Next, for time interest earned, it was increased from 2019 to 2020 with 1.7515 times increased to 2.2336 times in 2020, which means that CIMB has provided enough amount of operating income available to service interest payment. Lastly, for the profitability ratio, the total asset turnover and operating return on asset presented by CIMB are good in 2019 compared to 2020 because it is slightly decreased from year 2019 to 2020. You can see from here, operating return on asset in 2019 is 3%, slightly decreased to 2.9% in 2020. Same goes with total asset turnover, which is from 0.089 in 2019 decreased to 0.092 times in 2020. However, for operating profit margin presented by CIMB, it shows that CIMB will have difficulty in the process of generate profit from year to year if their performance is decreased like 2019 to 2020 for the next coming year. You can see from here, operating profit margin in 2019 it is 32% and decreased to 31% in 2020. In conclusion, we can conclude that our company CIMB Group Holdings Berhad have significant changes in their financial performance due to the pandemic of COVID-19 that has hit around the world and affected the country's economy if based on our measurement of company's financial health and performance shown. Therefore, for forecast future performance in the coming year, we still need to improve our performance of both companies to get better results. Due to the pandemic of COVID-19, we can see that it gives a big hit on every company's financial performance around the world. Therefore, in an effort to repair the company's financial performance of CIMB, here is my recommendation. First, we must develop the smart business plan to see the true potential performance of an organization from year to year, which is how long the financial performance of an organization can be maintained. Second, we must do and implement budget plan and make a perfect decision to reduce unnecessary expenses over the long and short term in order to maintain a positive financial status. Last but not least, the managers also should take a consideration whether the business is operating at its most efficient or not by monitoring the progress of business and so on. That's all from our group presentation. Thank you.